Ganyu is finally back after a year of waiting for her reruns. Now congratulations to those of you who have got her and good luck to those who are still trying to get Ganyu. Today we've got a video on Ganyu's best teams and I will be going through some of the top options on both Ganyu DPS team as well as support team comp. And also all of these teams will be Abyss ready because that's what we mostly care about, and of course since they are Abyss ready they will also crush all of the other game content as well. So with that, let's just dive into the video. For Ganyu's DPS team, we first have Ganyu, Diona, Zhongli, and Kazuha. Now something to note is that in any team that I mention, Kazuha or Zhongli, you can always switch these two characters with Sucrose and Albedo. As Sucrose are in very similar role with Kazuha, and Albedo is kind of like a substitute for Zhongli because Albedo's skill procs really well against Ganyu's burst. So Albedo goes really well with Ganyu. Now this is going to be a very simple team yet fits in every single situation because this team focuses on dealing cryo damage while keeping Ganyu alive with shield and healing, as well as non-interruption because there are basically two shields. Both Zhongli and Kazuha are here to help boost a lot of Ganyu's cryo damage output, and also since we don't have any other elements like Hydro or Pyro on the team, Kazuha will mostly be swirling cryo, boosting Ganyu's damage, so it's very easy team to manage. For the team rotation, it is also very simple. The whole point here is for you to focus on Kazuha's swirling cryo and you are pretty much done. You can first go with Zhongli's shield to Diona's QE, and then Kazuha's QE to swirl cryo, then finally Ganyu's QE and then start charging Ganyu's charge attack. And then after that you can repeat the rotation and everything is good to go. Second team, we have Ganyu, Xiangling, Bennett, and Zhongli. This is going to be Ganyu's melt comp, and Ganyu as a cryo character does really well with melt comp because she can literally melt all of her charge shots as there are no internal cooldown to her charge attack. The only thing about Ganyu's melt comp is that you will need to focus a lot more on rotation, which can make it the hardest comp to play with Ganyu. So in this team, we've got Xiangling and Bennett as Pyro Resonance and Zhongli to provide shields and damage increase. For the team rotation, you first set up Zhongli's shield, then Bennett's QE to Xiangling's EQ so that Xiangling's burst can snapshot, and then Ganyu standing in Bennett's Q and Xiangling's burst damage range to charge melt her enemies. The main goal of this team is to have Pyro applied onto your opponents, so Bennett and Xiangling here should always have their energy recharge level built to roughly 200% and above so that they can have their burst back as soon as possible. Team number 3, we have Ganyu, Shanha, Bennett, and Kazuha. This is a melt variation for Ganyu that deals an insanely high amount of damage. The tougher thing about this team is that it's harder for you to consistently apply Pyro, because if you miss Kazuha's burst and swirl into another element other than Pyro, then you're not going to be able to deal any melt damage. And also there's no shield for this team, so if you want you can swap Kazuha with Zhongli, or if you're good with dodging then you will be fine. However, missing Kazuha's burst Pyro infuse isn't too bad, as when you miss you will most likely be swirling cryo, which still enhances Ganyu's damage by a lot from Kazuha. Plus you've got Shanha and Bennett on the team to also boost Ganyu's damage output to really high. This is going to be the best team if you're soloing a boss with Ganyu. Now this team also requires you to pay attention a lot to the rotation. Is that first you use Bennett's E, then Kazuha's QE, and then switch back to Bennett's Q. Next is Shanha QE to Ganyu's charge attack. With this rotation, you can ensure that Kazuha will always swirl Pyro for his burst, while giving Ganyu's enough time to have Bennett's and Shanha's buff. And after that, you work on repeating the rotation and you're pretty good to go. Now team number 4, we have the infamous Morgana team, or as we've known, Ganyu's famous Ganyu's freeze comp. You can run her with Ganyu, Diona, Mona, and Venti, or the newer variants of Ganyu's freeze comp, the Ganyu, Shanha, Kokomi, and Kazuha, in which is more favorable in some of the newer Abyss due to the fact that there isn't many enemies that Venti can suck into from his burst at this point in time. Plus, you've got Kokomi, who can also act similar to Mona but can heal, which leaves you a spare slot of another cryo character, which can be Shanha, who's the most recent cryo niche support. Now, when running Ganyu in freeze comp, it's best that you build her with a 4-piece Blizzard Strayer, as you'll be attacking frozen enemies already, which gives you a free 55% crit rate, sparing all of your slot to build into crit damage for your Ganyu. As for team rotation from Ganyu's freeze comp, if you're running the Morgana team, you first go with Diona's E to Ganyu's EQ, then Venti's EQ. After that's Mona QE, and then finally move on to Ganyu's charge attack. It is recommended that you go in this correct order, the reason being because the core of this team comes down to Mona, because of her ability that applies the illusory bubble to the enemies. When they sustain damage, the Omen effect is applied, which buffs the attack that triggers the bubble to burst by the maximum of 60% for 5 seconds at talent level 10. However, freeze comp can exploit this and delay the timer of the Omen, which means that when you freeze an enemy that is in the illusory bubble, the freeze effect prevents the bubble from bursting. And this also prevents the Omen damage timer from starting, which essentially means that you are extending the duration of the Omen damage buff. Plus, Mona is usually run with Thrilling Tales of Dragon as well, so you want her right before Ganyu so that Ganyu can get the attack buff. So do keep that in mind with the Morgana team, guys. Now, if you're running the freeze comp variation of Shanha, you would first want to use Shanha's QE to Kazuha's QE, and then Kokomi's E, and finally Ganyu's charge attack. This team is a bit easier to run because you don't really have to time like Mona's burst. As long as you get Kazuha and Shanha to buff your Ganyu's damage, everything will be set. Moving on to the 5th team, we have an insane mono cryo team, which is Ganyu, Shanha, Diona, and Kazuha. This is super easy to play. Mono cryo at this point in time is really favorable because other than you having trouble with cryo shield, it will literally crush through most of the content, especially the Abyss, in some of these recent patches. You don't really need to worry much about rotation apart from making sure your Ganyu's getting Shanha's buff and Kazuha's cryo swirl form maximum damage bonus. Either that or you can run Ganyu, Ayaka, Shanha, and Kokomi's team, a pretty expensive team as they are 5-star characters. But this team also deals an insane amount of cryo damage, mainly because of Ganyu and Ayaka here will all take bonus from Shanha's quo, as well as Kokomi for freeze. So that's some of the most popular Ganyu's DPS team option. Now we come to Ganyu's support team option. Ganyu can basically fit into most melt team as she can very reliably apply cryo with her burst, and any superconduct team can also find her very useful as well. First option for Ganyu support can be you run with D-Look, Ganyu, Bennett, and Kazuha, or you can swap D-Look with Klee if you are using her. Now Bennett and Kazuha is here to help with pyro damage boost for D-Look, and then Ganyu setting up her ice field for cryo application so that D-Look can do melt damage. Team number 2, we have Hu Tao, Ganyu, Xiangling, and Kokomi. Now this is a very interesting team but a bit situational at times, however it works really well, with the proof being that this team helped me to get full star clear with the newest Abyss. If you want to pull out the most from this team, you will need to invest into all characters, apart from Kokomi as she is mostly a healer. Other than that, both Hu Tao and Ganyu can become a DPS in this team from doing melt damage. Kokomi is here to heal and hydro application as well as breaking pyro shield at times. So either way, this team is a very good combination across different elements for resonance and reactions. Next we have Kaya, Ganyu, Xiangling, and Bennett. This is going to be a very free to play options, and it works more like a quick swap team where everyone will mostly focus on having their burst up and deal burst damage. Ganyu is here for cryo support and resonance, with Xiangling and Bennett for pyro resonance as well, and melt is a very easy team to run but effective due to the double cryo and pyro's resonance. Also, if you want, you can swap out Kaya with Rosaria as they are in similar positions. And also we have an example of a super conduct team, which is Kuching, Ganyu, Fischl, and Diona. You can also swap Kuching with Razor or any other physical DPS that you would like. We have Ganyu on the team to easily apply Cryo for super conduct, and we have support character like Diona for Cryo resonance and healing, as well as Fischl for constant off-field damage and electro applications. And so guys, we can see that Ganyu's an insane character that can literally annihilate everything as a main DPS, but if you want, you can have her as a support where she will also fit in most team comp as well. So guys, those are some of Ganyu's top team comp, and I hope that you have found the video helpful. Now if you've got Ganyu and is still wondering on how to build her the best way, then I've got an in-depth guide on building Ganyu. I'm sure that it will be very helpful to you. And if you're new to the channel guys, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more of my Supera Genshin guides, tips and tricks. And with that, I wish you a super day, and I will see you on the next video.